Hello everyone, this is Tara, Librarian at VSG, coming at you with a 22-month update. It's been almost 2 years since I've had surgery and it's kind of just flown by. But let me talk to you about stats, and from there I'll talk to you a little bit more about diet and things of that nature. Sorry, getting a little more comfortable. So I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy on December 16th of 2014 with Dr. Sean Garber of New York Bariatric Group. I had my post-op care done with Dr. Eric Sommer of New York Bariatric Group. Both doctors are wonderful people. Dr. Somers just had a better schedule for me for aligning with work, and that's why I did a lot of my post-op care with him. My highest weight was 275. My lowest weight was around 133, 135. And my current weight is sitting between 155 and 165. I cannot narrow that down for you, to be honest, as I have not gotten a scale. I do recall the last time I did, it was around 162, but it could fluctuate a lot in that time because that's been 3 weeks and I've done a lot of traveling in those 3 weeks. And as we know, a lot happens during travel, whether it's crappy food or retaining water and all that jazz. So I really don't know exactly what my weight is. I promise I will get that as soon as I can. But let's talk about 135 and talk a little bit about regain and why sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Honestly, I think what happens a lot of times is that people, I don't know, I've noticed this not necessarily with everybody, but there's a certain trend with a percentage of people that have have weight loss surgery where they lose a lot of weight and they drip down really low and then they regain. And there's all this like fear of regain and all that jazz. And honestly, I think there's a certain amount of it that is a healthy regain and it's a good regain. And some of the people in the community have talked about this before, where it's like I regained like 10 pounds, but I'm not worried about it. And while the lowest was 135 and I'm sitting around 155 and 165, that could be considered a 20-pound regain. I'm not concerned about it either. To be honest, 135 happened at a very low time in my life where I was trying to refigure out eating schedule and grocery shopping for myself for the first time in a long while, because I had been in a relationship and that was somebody else's job, was to go grocery shopping. I made a list and food magically appeared, and a couple nights a week, 3 or 4 nights a week, I magically had dinner made for me, and then I had leftovers for lunch. So you kind of get used to that pattern and reliant upon it, and you don't realize how much you are until it's not there anymore. And I had to learn how to go grocery shopping for myself without really kicking myself that much. I have a tendency to be very strict about the perimeters of that my surgeon set down, perimeters for fat content, carbohydrate content, where I stick to it as if I'm still a newbie. And it's not something that should be done. When you're here post-op, you're allowed some leniencies, and there's a certain amount of fat and carbs that you should be more flexible with. And I've learned that. It was a very important thing to learn. I think that's also part of the reason that I went down to 135 was I was living kind of makeshift, and I didn't have a full kitchen access. So it was hard to cook and prep the way I usually do. So that was also hard. When changes happen, we have to be flexible, and I've definitely learned that the last 10 months. It's just how to be flexible and kind of decisive. That's for sure. Let me have some water because my throat is sore. Sorry. I have like a nasal drip thing going on, and my sinuses are not my friend. Whenever it happens, my tonsils get inflamed, and I'm just hoping that doesn't turn into strep. Because there's too much going on for it to turn into strep. So, I dipped, well, what did we do? Okay, so I dipped down to 135, and then I bounced up to around the 140 to 145 range again. And then a little joy happened called finals. So I was a grad student, and I was in my final semester, so I had 2 classes, portfolio, and full-time work. Fun stuff happening. So by the time April came around, I was in high stress mode and kind of just doing makeshift again. Whatever meals I could get, I did. I did a lot of crock pot meals to kind of get by. And then towards the end of April, my aunt passed away. And she was essentially another mom to me. She was the only family member who, when I told her about me getting weight loss surgery, she didn't scream, "You're crazy," or "That's too drastic," or "You don't need it." She was the first person to say, "It's a great idea, and I support you fully, and I think you'll do it successfully," which is nice to hear, to be honest. She had RNY many, many moons ago, back when I was in high school, and she battled with her own issues of regain and loss and diabetes and a lot of health issues. But she died very suddenly and not health related at all. And, it was hard to deal with finals to begin with, and then it was hard to deal with that, and then it was hard to deal with people's reaction to that. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of grief, and a lot of stress eating, to be honest. I will be completely honest. Donuts were had by this mouth, and pizza, and things that I wouldn't eat on a normal basis, to be honest. People bringing over casseroles and kind of like whatever people bring you in grief, you eat. So I did gain a little bit more back then. And then this whole summer has kind of been makeshift of goodbye parties with a lot of friends that were moving out of state. So doing that and kind of being not at home a lot, between those being there and then being at my mom's and trying to take care of stuff with my cousins, to deal with my aunt's issue, afterlife, life insurances, and cleaning out her house and all that jazz. So that was my summer. That was fun. That on top of summer reading made life just jolly. So there was a lot of stuff this summer, and I really didn't slow down. I don't think it ever will, but there's more on that to come. But I will say that I'm sitting between 155 and 165, and I'm not stressing about it at all because I know a lot of it is just the way life is right now, and there's a certain amount of regain in this process that is healthy and that is good for you. And no matter where you are, I feel like you have to let go a little bit. And we are very, me as a weight loss surgery patient, I know any form of regain is scared that you're going to regain all of it back. And honestly, unless you're trying to shovel donuts or milkshakes down your throat constantly, it's not going to happen. But you do want to be mindful, and regain can happen to everybody, but you just kind of recognize why it's happening and kind of treat the issue. Make sure that you're always taking care of yourself and always being mindful. Because once you have this surgery, you are a bariatric patient for life. I will never forget that. I will never forget to hydrate, and I will never forget the importance of my nutrition. But we do slip up, and we have to learn from our mistakes. And that's, as long as we're looking in the mirror and being honest with ourselves every day, that's the best we can do. So that's what I've got for you right now. I do have another update because October in itself has been busy. But this is going long, so I will give you part 2 in a second. Let me get some water.